We're going through 25 practical ways to make our home fertile soil, and we're on number 20. Bless with holy water. Remember the tree analogy. One of the things a tree obviously needs is water. It's going to grow, and it's the same thing with the baptism analogy. We need water. That's why we get baptized. It represents so many life-sustaining things. So I like to use the spray bottle method. God has a dream specifically for you. And if you don't play your part, it won't get played. And if your part doesn't get played, I assure you, souls can be lost. The world doesn't need another John Paul II or Mother Teresa. The world needs you. And your ordinary life has an extraordinary mission. Now is your time.
You're listening to the Extraordinary Mission Podcast with Dr. John Wood. Dr. John Wood is an optometrist, author, speaker, and saint in the making. He has published 3 books and speaks across the country, energizing the church to pursue our extraordinary mission. And now, your host, Dr. John Wood.
Welcome to Extraordinary Mission Podcast. I'm your host, John Wood, and this is a podcast where we want to inspire you to become the saints you were created to be, and also help your family and friends to do the same. And we've been going through a series over the last several episodes of Deep Roots, and finding a way to make your home fertile soil to grow the seeds of faith. And I've been joined by my wife, Kristin, through this series as we talk about ways that have helped us. And in this final episode, we're going to talk about supernatural grace and how everything we talked about, it's not really possible. This whole job God gave us as parents to actually raise these kids and actually help them become the saints who were created to be and live as strong Catholic families. We really can't do it without God's grace. It's really where everything begins and ends. I've always, my name John means God is gracious, and I've loved the scripture quote from St. Paul, even when I was little, that said, "By the grace of God, I am what I am. His grace towards me, it's not in vain. It's not ineffective. It has real power." And so we're going to talk a little bit about how we can tap into that power in this episode. In previous episodes, we talked about building that Catholic culture, that atmosphere, making your home, giving it the atmosphere to raise the faith. We talked about family time, and we talked about catechesis and growing in the faith and continuous learning. And so let's dive into these topics on supernatural grace and how we can give our kids the superpower and give ourselves the superpower we need to grow and become who we were created to be. Remembering the analogy of the tree, that ultimately the tree wants to bear fruit. It wants to grow and be strong so that it can bear fruit, make a difference in the world. And we want our kids to grow strong in their faith, to have deep roots, to weather storms, and to bear fruit, to use their gifts and talents to change the world, to be the light of Christ as they're called to in their baptism. And so We're going through 25 practical ways to make our home fertile soil, and we're on number 20. We're in the final stretch here. Number 20 is to bless with holy water. And this isn't just our kids, but also our home, like having a priest come in and actually bless your home with holy water. You need that blessing. Remember the tree analogy. One of the things a tree obviously needs is water. It's going to grow. And it's the same thing with the baptism analogy. We need water. That's why we get baptized. The water represents the purity. It represents cleansing our soul. It represents so many life-sustaining things. So we want to get our home blessed. We also want to bless our children with holy water. And this is a routine that we do every night, having holy water by our prayer table. I like to use the spray bottle method. I actually asked Bishop Thomas about this, if this was okay. And he said, as long as, we're not using it as a squirt gun or something, and it's properly marked, this is a sacramental, but the spray bottle works for me because, we spray our garden for weeds, and we spray our pets for fleas. We probably should spray our kids for demons, right? So talk about holy water a little bit and how that can help us get the grace we need.
Yeah, obviously holy water is a symbol of our baptism. One of the first things the kids love to do as they go into church, especially little kids, is, you teach them how to dip their hand into the little holy water font and make the sign of the cross. And so bringing that water home, reminding us of our baptism. Holy water is used all throughout the Easter season to remind us of our baptism, also used to bless, sacred objects, sacramentals. So just having that holy water, blessing our kids every evening before bed. They won't even go to bed until make sure that you've given them their blessing. So I think it's just a reminder, a reminder of our baptism, a reminder of God's grace with us. So
yeah, and again, it's that sensation again. We're sensual creatures, and kids, they love the sight, the smell, the sound, the touch. And this is a sense of touch. So I just spray a little holy water on my thumb every night, and I just do the sign of cross on their forehead. May Almighty God bless you. And I like to do the rest in Latin because it just sounds cool. And Nomine Patris et Filii Spiritus Sancti, and they like that. That's cool. But just bless them in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. It really is powerful. Sometimes people think as Catholics we just do these strange things and we go through these strange rituals, but they're not empty rituals. They really do give us power. They give us grace. We believe sacramentals can help us. They can guard us from evil. They can protect us. They can give us grace. They can give us strength. And so utilize that holy water to remind them of their baptism, to remind them they're children of God, to bless them every night. And if you get in the routine, they'll actually remind you like they want that blessing, which is really, really, really kind of neat. So.
Right. And pretty much any Catholic bookstore you go to, you can get little bottles to put the holy water in. You can also get like little holy water fonts that you can hang in each bedroom, and you can fill those with holy water. And you should be able to get holy water at your local church. They have a supply, a place where you can fill them up. So if you're not sure about that, just ask your priest or sacristan, somebody at the church. They'll know where to direct you. So
all right. So that's number 20 is to utilize holy water. Number 21 is angels, guardian angels. And sometimes we don't really think about this that much, but the angels are as real as you and me. And there's so many good angels, and God created the angels to guard us, to protect us, to keep us safe. And what better guardians do we have in our own guardian angel? I've heard that our guardian angel loves us more than any human being, knows us more than any human being, because they're infused with the love and the knowledge of God the Father, and they're assigned to protect us. And so imagine that every person on this planet has a specific guardian angel created for them. And so do we help our kids build that relationship with that angel, knowing the angel's there to give them that sense of security, give them that sense of protection? The guardian angel prayer is really powerful, something you can say in the morning or at night. You a lot of times we'll say it in the evening, just before we go to bed to kind of guard us. It's better than that. Now I lay me down to sleep, pray the soul of my soul to sleep, in case I die before I wake. It doesn't freak them out as quite as much as that one. It's just a sense of protection as you go to bed, to ask for the guardian angel to protect you. So
right, it's great to say it in the morning too, as kind of part of morning prayers. Just asking your guardian angel to help guide you throughout the day and making decisions, good decisions.
Yeah. And then another thing, I don't even know where I got the idea or who told me to do it, or where it even came from. A lot of this stuff, I'm sure somebody recommended it, but years back, I saw this thing to get little stones, little rocks. And so I found a website that just engraves things on stones. And so we got 4 stones. One is St. Michael, one has St. Gabriel, one has St. Raphael, and the other one says guardian angels. And so we do a little ceremony. My brother's a priest. We had him bless. There's a little, there's a blessing for everything. So he blessed the little rocks, and we put them on the 4 corners of our house, so that, our house has got this, shield of protection surrounding it of the angels on the 4 corners of the house. And again, sometimes we forget that there's evil in the world, that there is a spiritual battle, a spiritual warfare going on in the world, and the angels are on our side. They're guarding us, protecting us. And so these are kind of things that kids absolutely love. Little kids like to take a rock and to bury it at the corner. And we just found them the other day because we were doing some landscaping, and they were just excited. Like, I remember these rocks, and it reminds them the angels are guarding and protecting us. So any other ideas as far as incorporating the angels? I know there's like an image of the guardian angel too that a lot of people have.
Yeah, a lot of people get that. You can put it in your kid's room, a little picture of the guardian angel protecting the children. So just saying the prayers, celebrating the feast day of the archangels in September. That's a great...
And associating the angels. I know, I heard a theologian talk about how, St. Gabriel oftentimes is associated with God the Son because he's there, for the Annunciation in different parts of Scripture, and Saint Raphael is kind of known with healing, so kind of maybe like a special angel of God, the Holy Spirit. And then Saint Michael obviously is the angel that stepped up and defended God the Father. If you read in Revelation about the war breaking out in heaven and how Saint Michael is the one, his name means who is like God. Like when Satan rebels, Saint Michael is that angel and knowing the St. Michael prayer, that's the other thing that a lot of parishers are starting to say, the St. Michael prayer at the end of masses, because we need his protection.
It was kind of one of those things that was done for a while and kind of fell away, and it's coming back. So understand the angels. There's a Lighthouse CD, I think from Mark Miravalli, or even a book about the angels that I highly, highly recommend. So check out Lighthouse Catholic Media. And you'll learn so many things that you never knew about the choirs of angels, and it's really, really cool stuff that kids absolutely love. So number 21 was the angels. Number 22 is Sacred Heart devotion. So there's a lot of feast days. There's a lot of different things in the Catholic Church that can help us to grow closer to Jesus and Mary and the saints. And the Sacred Heart enthronement was something I hadn't heard a whole lot about, but I know there's a huge group in Columbus, Ohio, that have really started to encourage families to enthrone their home to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And there's actually a lot of promises that Jesus gave when he gave us this fierce. He appeared to St. Margaret Mary between 1673 and 1675. And so this is where the Sacred Heart devotion comes from. And one of the things he did was he gave her 14 promises, or 12 promises for homes that will enthrone their home to the Sacred Heart. So just some of these things that you can hear about them. These are pretty awesome promises. Number 1, he says, I will give them all the graces necessary for their state in life. So wherever you're at and whatever you're struggling with, this is what we want. We want God's grace. And so enthroning our home to Jesus can help us do this. I will give peace to their families. And what family doesn't need peace with all the chaos in our home? We need peace. I will console them in all their troubles. We're going to run into storms, but Jesus promises to be with us. He says, they shall find in my heart an assured refuge during life, and especially at the hour of death. I will pour abundant blessings on all their undertakings. Sinners shall find in my heart the source of infinite ocean of mercy. And again, this is kind of tied to divine mercy as well, in the image of divine mercy. Tepid soul shall become fervent. Fervent soul shall speedily rise to great perfection. And I think about these, with our kids too, because, when they're little, and myself, we're all pretty introverted except maybe our littlest one, but I'm pretty tepid. I don't have a lot of confidence. I don't have confidence doing this kind of stuff. I don't have confidence speaking. I feel like that's not me. I feel like I can't do this. I feel like God's asking me to do stuff that I can't do. And to give this promise that Jesus says, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you when you're tepid. And we think about our kids, sometimes they are afraid of failure. Sometimes they're afraid to try things because they don't want to fail. And so that's a really powerful promise that he's going to give us strength. He's going to bless our home with the image. And so we do have in an earlier episode, we talked about Divine Mercy art, and there's this beautiful image that you can get to put that image in your home of the Sacred Heart. That's part of the enthronement. And he says he's going to bless your home if you have that image in your home and exposed. He says, I will give priests the power to touch the most hardened hearts. Those who propagate this devotion shall have their name written in my heart, and it shall never be effaced. And the all-powerful love of my heart will grant to all those who shall receive communion on the first Friday of 9 consecutive months the grace of final repentance. They shall not die under my displeasure, not without receiving their sacraments. My heart shall be their assured refuge at the last hour. And who doesn't want that for their kids? And so those are pretty powerful promises. And so do you remember when we did the Sacred Heart enthronement in our home and the prayers that kind of went with it? Do you feel like that was a positive experience for our kids? Yeah. It's just, a reminder of Jesus's love for us, and that he's going to be there with us, that he's, it's called an enthronement. He's on the throne of our family. He's king of our family. So he's going to be watching over us, protecting us, being our king, keeping us safe, helping us in struggles. So, sometimes it can kind of seem a little superstitious. People might kind of say, well, that's just superstition but I mean, I don't know. I've grace is real. Jesus is real. He has real power. So, the angels are real.
These directly from Jesus.
Right.
So he's making these promises for us. And
So, I think when you trust in Jesus, when you are obedient to him, when you give him your family, when you enthrone him in your home, you can feel his grace there with you. You can definitely feel his presence. You know that he's there with you.
Yeah.
So.
And the image is powerful, and it points to his heart and his heart for us. And so we really encourage you to, and you can just go to enthronements.com. This group in Columbus actually just sent us these materials and taught us, the book walks you through of how to enthrone your home to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And so that's definitely something to check out. So number 22 on our list is the Sacred Heart devotion. And then that leads to number 23, which is also Marian Consecration. So this is something that we did a while back as a family, but it's also something that our Bishop Thomas, actually encouraged our entire diocese to do together a couple years back. And again, I think this is really powerful based on Father Michael Gately's book, 33 Days to Morning Glory, that's been hugely popular. He makes it very simple to have this Marian consecration. So talk a little bit about Marian consecration.
Right. Well, Mary, obviously, as Jesus's mother and as our mother, at the foot of the cross, Jesus gave Mary to us as our mother. And she wants to always lead us closer to her son, Jesus. And so, as a mother of a household, I have a little inkling of what Mary's love for us is like, and how she wants us to grow in our faith and to lead us to her son. And so what better way than to, consecrate your family to Mary.
Yeah. And this is something that I think people struggle with too. Like, why can I just go straight to Jesus with my prayers and things like that? And St. Louis de Montfort, who originally wrote about this devotion, kind of helps us realize how, the best possible path to Jesus is through Mary. And actually, if you read the story and you read salvation history in the Old Testament, the mother was the queen, and a lot of people would come to the mother and ask for her intercession to go to the king. And you think about Mary, I think of it like a analogy of the spiritual advisor. I have no idea how to invest money. Neither one of us do, but financial advisors, that's what they do. They study the market. And It's the same thing in our Catholic faith. Like, we believe we can help other souls get to heaven with our sacrifices, with our offerings. But Mary knows, people better than we do from where she's at in heaven. We can offer our sacrifices to her, and like moms do, she wraps it up all real nice and makes it look much better than like graduation parties we're trying to go to, and I don't know how to wrap these things or put them in the bag or make the little poofy paper look right. I just give it to you, and then all of a sudden it looks amazing. What did you do? And Mary's the same way. She takes our little sacrifices and she uses them the best possible way, and so we get the most out of them. And so John Paul II actually had his papal motto as Totus Tuus, where he gave his life to Mary when he lost his mom, his dad, his whole family before he was 20 years old. And he, consecrated his life to Mary, and it changed his life. And look at all the fruit that came from his life. And so it's a powerful thing to do. And it's very easy to do with Father Michael Gately's book, 33 Days to Morning Glory. And our family actually enjoyed another really easy thing for you to do as a family. And you don't have to be a theologian to do these kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very powerful.
So Marian consecration, which leads to the Rosary. Obviously, we have to talk about the Rosary as far as a family and how powerful this spiritual weapon is. And so many of the great saints talk about the power of the Rosary, and Padre Pio talked about, his spiritual weapon. And really, again, this whole thing is about building a relationship with Christ, and nobody knows Jesus, the man, more than his mother, Mary. And so I think of the Rosary as Mary's scrapbook. You have these scrapbooks of our kids, and they have little pieces of hair and all these little different things from when they were a baby and as they're growing up and through their life. Well, Mary was there for Jesus's conception, his birth, his death, his resurrection. She was there for everything. And as we meditate on the mysteries of the Rosary, we actually walk in the footsteps of Jesus. Mary is teaching us, come and walk with me as my son grows and goes through these mysteries, when things are the sorrowful mysteries or the glorious mysteries, the joyful mysteries, the luminous mysteries. So as a mother, what's your perspective on the Rosary and how it can influence our kids?
Yeah, I think the Rosary I've always seen it as a really beautiful prayer. As when our kids were really young, I know we kind of struggled, like, how do you, it's so long. How do you, say this prayer with little kids? And so it's important to know that you can do short parts of it. You can just meditate on one mystery. You can just do one decade of the Rosary. And now there's so many resources out there for young families, for young kids. So just, again, go to Catholic Icing or go to Pinterest and just type in, and you'll find all these interactive little things for the kids to do as they're praying the Rosary. We found little coloring sheets that they can color in as they're praying to help them follow along. And just recently I made like a PowerPoint presentation. Actually, I modified a PowerPoint presentation that I had found online. So I can't even claim full ownership of it. But just so powerful to have images so that as you're meditating on the mysteries, you can see what you're meditating on. It just, I don't know, it helps me so much.
Star that kind of lights up all the different decades. So there's an image of a rosary and a little star that's kind of turning and twisting. It's kind of live action. And as you go through each decade, the star moves, you get a new reflection, you get a new image. And, these are, for those who are watching, images of the agony in the garden. You get a different image each time. You get a different little prayer. It really helps the kids to understand and reflect what we're supposed to be doing, meditating on these mysteries of the Rosary.
Right. The Rosary can turn into just,
rote repetition.
Just saying like the Hail Mary and the Our Father without even thinking about the words that you're saying, the Glory Be. So whatever you can do to help your mind focus, to help it meditate on the mysteries is where you're really going to see fruit, I think. Yeah. Because that's what you're doing. You want to be thinking about meditating on the life of Jesus.
And that's the cool thing about these is they're really taking scripture verses and helping kids understand this is straight out of scripture. This is really learning about the life of Christ and meditating on it. And not only that, with the little coloring sheets, we've found it a great way to do acts of service, because we can offer our prayers, we can offer our rosaries for other people. And so when we color those, we like to give out what we call a bouquet of a dozen rosaries. Mm-hmm. And so we'll, as the kids color those sheets, we keep track of them. They will sign the little sheets. And, if you get 12 of them, well, you just have a dozen rosaries right there that you've prayed for somebody. You send them that in the mail and tell them, you're thinking about them. We prayed a dozen rosaries for you. I think that's a powerful way that the family can help other people and help the kids realize that their prayers are powerful.
Right. Right. There's also a lot of CDs, like you can get rosary CDs that you can listen to in the car. So I think we talked about that in a previous episode. But
car rides.
So Holy Heroes has some nice ones that also have the Bible verses. So they'll say a Bible verse with each Hail Mary as you're meditating on the mystery.
The Children of Mary Sisters, based in Ohio, have a beautiful CD on the luminous mysteries of the Rosary, and there's a lot of catechesis actually in there and how they teach you about the mysteries, and it really helps you reflect, and it's very soothing too. Like you have to be careful when you're driving because it can actually be very soothing. Our kids sometimes have even asked to put that on at nighttime. It's just a very soothing way of listening to the Rosary.
The sisters on that version, they chant in Latin the prayers, and it's really pretty. Yeah.
So lots of different things. And again, utilizing the car as your classroom. When you are saying the Rosary, you are learning the faith and the mysteries of the Rosary as well. So we always try to do that when we go on a trip, is to do a family Rosary first. Yeah. It makes our trip go better too. I think I found that when you pray your Rosary first before.
Right, just as a way, to kind of offer up our trip, ask God's blessings on it through His Mother Mary. So.
Yeah. So number 25, we get to the very last one here on our 25 things to make your home fertile soil, to grow seeds of faith, and that's Patron Saints. And so the whole goal as parents is to help our kids become saints. Our goal is saints, and I think understanding the mission is always so powerful for me. That's why I focus on the extraordinary mission that we're all called to be saints, that our dream for our kids is heaven, nothing less than heaven. And, one of the pieces of wisdom that I've heard from people like Matthew Kelly is like, if you want to be successful in sports, study great athletes. If you want to be really great in basketball, go study Michael Jordan and his career and everything he did. If you want to be successful in business, study successful business people and entrepreneurs. Right. If you want to be a saint, then you need to study the saints. You need to befriend the saints. And the great thing is the saints aren't dead. They're alive. Like, they're in heaven. They're more alive than we are, and death doesn't separate us. We're part of this family of God, and that the saints can actually, the image in Hebrews is they're a great cloud of witnesses that we're surrounded by as we run the race of life, and they're cheering us on because they've already run the race. And so what are some ways we can involve the saints in the life of our kids and get them even to have some special saints that they're especially close to?
Mm-hmm. I mean, from a very young age, just there's lots of great, children's little movies on patron saints or on different saints, just to learn about the saints, or reading little books about the saints. And you'll find, different kids will naturally gravitate kind of toward different saints, ones that they feel close to or that they have things in common with. And that's the great thing about the saints, right? Is there's so many saints out there, some that we don't even know about, and they come from all walks of life and all sorts of different, you can find patron saints for almost anything, so you can find what your kid is interested in, and as they grow, they kind of, our kids at least have kind of adopted certain patron saints that they feel closest to. So celebrating those feast days when we know, like, it's the feast day of one of the patron saints that our kids feel close to, watching movies, reading books about them. Formed.org is another good resource on that. Like you said, the Augustine Institute, the radio theater.
Radio theaters, I listened to those radio theaters. And St. Francis, I think, won like an award for the best radio theater in all categories, Christian and secular. And it's just really, really powerful to bring the story alive. It had a huge impact on me and my a devotion to this saint that I didn't really know that much about until I heard the story, and it came alive for me when I listened to that story. And so we didn't necessarily name our kids after saints. All of our kids are pretty much named after Old Testament characters, but which they're saints in a sense, but they've also kind of adapted specific saints, and we end our prayers every night by including that litany to those saints. And so Saint Therese of Lisieux and Saint Elizabeth, Saint George, the Dragon Slayer, our son loves Saint George because he's a Dragon Slayer, and Saint John Paul II, and then also including our own confirmation saints. And so when, again, the wisdom of the church, they're going to challenge the children when they get confirmed to pick a patron saint. And so they're kind of already used to that, of learning these different stories. And so our oldest daughter is going through confirmation prep now. And so we've included, she chose Saint Joan of Arc. We started including Saint Joan of Arc every night in our litany of saints before we go to bed. And so that's one way to keep close with the saints, to learn their stories and to find those patron saints, because you can find a patron saint of just about everything, right? If you struggle with certain things, and our kids are going to struggle, they're going to lack confidence in certain areas. So we say, hey, let's go find a saint, that struggled with the same thing you are, and that saint can help you in that journey. Mm-hmm. So there it is, 25 ways that we can make our home fertile soil to grow the seeds of faith. And so it's obviously not an exhaustive list. There's lots of other things you can do, lots of other ideas. Hopefully this will help get you started, especially if you're parents that have kids still at home. We want to encourage you, want to challenge you that you are the biggest and the best. You need to be the biggest and the best influence on the life of your kids, and that Catholicism isn't just some ancient ritual that's passed on from our grandparents. This is, I'm going to propose to you the best way to live. Like, if you want your kid to be a great athlete, teach them Catholicism. You want them to have great relationships, great in business. Everything they do is relevant. And we have 2,000 years of Catholicism to study, and it's proven to work. And so that's my proposal to you, to make it relevant. You don't have to get rid of all the other things in your life to put God first. I'm just challenging you to put God first in everything else. You do these things in your home, then your kids' sports make more sense. Their school works makes more sense. Their relationships make more sense. And so I propose this is the best thing you can do if you love your kids, and I know that you do. And so we want to encourage you. We want to challenge you that your children were made to be saints, that you were made to be saints, and that, this isn't humanly possible, but by God's grace we can. So just simply try your best and trust in God's grace to do all the rest. If any of the resources on here you're interested in, you want to know more about what we do or have questions for us, just email info@extraordinarymission.com. You can check out the website extraordinarymission.com or like us on Facebook. And until next time, go be saints.
The Extraordinary Mission Podcast was brought to you by the Deep Roots Club, a group of people investing their time, talent, and treasures into helping today's families build deep roots of faith that can weather any storm. Find out more at www.extraordinarymission.com/get-involved.